Greg Parks, PWTorch columnist, with me, Wade Keller, and we are here for a 12-minute hot take on Will Ospreay getting a world title shot in AEW already at Forbidden Door. I have mixed feelings about this, Greg. We talked briefly before the show. I think we kind of both do. I think there's some pros and cons to this, but my concern is Will Ospreay getting this world title shot, but not having any kind of a sense that it was a chase that where he achieved it, where the fans were on that journey with him. And then if he comes up short, revisiting it and then doing a better job with that story the second time. What's your initial starting point on this when you saw Ospreay earn that title shot?
Yeah, I was really surprised. I thought for sure that Osprey was going to culminate with the world title win it all in, and that was really going to be his first shot because you can't recreate the first time. And that's my big concern with doing Swerve and Will Osprey at Forbidden Door first is you can come up with a finish in that match to get you to Osprey getting another shot at all in, but there's the chance that it's not going to feel as special or that it's going to feel like a no-brainer if he doesn't win the first time. Well, of course he's going to win the second time, even as obvious as it already was that he was probably going to win even if the first match was held at all in. So one of the things we talked about on Wrestling Night in America was with our eye toward all in and Will Ospreay getting that title shot was, how do you keep him away from the main title until then, because he was just on such an upward trajectory. And I guess the answer is you don't keep him away from the title shot that soon by doing it at Forbidden Door. So I was, I don't know if I was shocked, but I was very surprised when he won the Casino Battle Royal to get that opportunity at Swerve Strickland at Forbidden Door. Forbidden Door is one of those pay-per-views. It's all about opening that quote unquote forbidden door to other companies. And I think you could have gotten away with Swerve Strickland facing somebody from somewhere else for that title. Would
Very
that
true.
other person have won? No, of course not. But it's not really about that. It's about opening that forbidden door. That's what the name of the pay-per-view is. So I didn't think you even needed to do Osprey versus Swerve. There's tons of challengers in AEW that you could have rematched Samoa Joe and Swerve Strickland, I think, and then you could have done the Forbidden Door angle where you have somebody from another company come in and challenge. This is the one opportunity for you to kind of get out of jail free and not have to have that top challenger face Swerve for the title at Forbidden Door. So it's definitely a curious decision for me. It's going to be interesting to see how it plays out.
And the question is, how much of this was master planned by Tony Khan? Because if had he planned further ahead, he could have done what you just said, which is build up to Keshto or somebody else for a title match against Swerve Strickland, an actual heel with a manager or otherwise, and like you said, gotten away with saving this big triumphant moment, the peak of Will Ospreay's short time in AEW, getting a world title shot at Wembley. And now it's gonna either be a second title shot or he's gonna be in some grudge match and he's not actually getting a title shot at Wembley. And I'm curious as this plays out. I think what Tony Khan decided to do is what he's going to do. So I'm eager to see if we're sitting here, a week into September going, oh, now I see why he did it. I don't see the rationale for doing it this soon for the reasons you said. Forbidden Door, unless he just felt like he needed to make Forbidden Door the point that Will Ospreay beats Swerve so that he can be against a heel at All In, with the heel winning the Owen Cup, getting the title shot against him. And I think that's the path that I think justifies Will Ospreay getting the shot at Forbidden Door, is if there's somebody very specific that Tony Khan has in mind to win the men's Owen Hart tournament and be his opponent at Wembley as a defending hometown champion, so to speak.
Yeah, it's really interesting, the Forbidden Door match, because we don't actually even know who's going to win. I sort of made the argument that Swerve wins, and somehow Osprey gets a rematch at All In and wins the title. That's his triumphant moment in front of his home
Yeah.
crowd. But what you said could happen too. Osprey wins at Forbidden Door, and I don't think anyone out there is arguing it's not the right time for Osprey. I've been arguing for months now. Strap him up, like he is the guy in AEW. It's kind of funny that I'm sort of arguing that the biggest or the best star in AEW shouldn't be the champion right away. I feel kind of weird making that argument. But Ospreay could win, and he could face a really tough challenge at Wembley at All In, a real solid heel, right? Because Ospreay is a babyface, whether you have with Don Callis or not, he's a babyface. But again, I still think even Ospreay going into All In as champion doesn't have the same flair that him winning that title for the first time at All In would have.
I agree. That's why I mean Tony Khan's got to show me that this ultimately makes sense. If he wasn't comfortable going to All In with a babyface matchup with Swerve defending against Ospreay and Ospreay being Swerve on that stage, and he has something very specific else in mind for us for Swerve also. I can be swayed into seeing okay the pace of this made sense. I mean I can I'm open to it, but my initial inclination is yeah just. Also like, I got to interject this. What about Swerve Strickland? I mean, we're sitting here talking about Ospreay. I say go all in on Ospreay. I mean, I really do. It has nothing to do with Swerve performing well or underperforming or anything. I'm not even taking a like position on that in this context. It doesn't matter. It just it's unfortunate the timing of the confluence of these new stars coming in, because I really think Swerve deserved to have a chance and earned to have a chance, and the fans want to see him have a chance to have an actual title reign, not something that feels transitional. I'm not ruling that out still. I mean, Greg, is that a possibility? Does Swerve retain, say, Don Callis family turns on Ospreay? Ospreay ends up in a grudge match that isn't headlining All In, or he's defending his title and it's not the world title, and that ends All In, and Swerve is elsewhere on the show, and the AEW World Title doesn't headline. Is that a sequence that you could see playing out where, well, we'll make an exception to the AEW World Title being the men's title that headlines a pay-per-view because of the setting?
That would be hard for me to believe. I think this confluence of events and the timing, as you mentioned, where Osprey's star is shining brightest right now, and you have an opportunity to really crown him as the centerpiece of your company. And not only that, but to do it at your biggest event of the year. Oh, by the way, in his home country, which you don't go to that often. It all just seems to line up too perfectly for AEW, for Tony Khan to say, you know what, we've got this chance, but we're not going to do that. Yeah, I just find that hard to believe that he would pass up that opportunity to have Will Ospreay in the main event, not wrestling, either defending or wrestling for the AEW World Heavyweight Championship.
And so what we have is it's too late to backtrack away unless they do an injury angle or something. They go through with it at Forbidden Door. They've lost a chance for him to get his first title shot in his hometown. Or it's gonna be awkward because he won't be main eventing as world champion or in a world championship match, or they're gonna have to cut Swerve's title reign shorter than a lot of people want. I think there's gonna be a lot of unhappy people no matter what path they take with Ospreay's booking. All that said, as long as we get to Will Ospreay as the centerpiece babyface champion, I do think that's a good landing place. Again, this is not a dig at Swerve Strickland. If Ospreay,
Mhm.
breaks his ankle falling off the tarmac or something, and they just go with Swerve for the next 6 months, I think that's a good option for AW. Go all in with that. Um, I don't think. I mean, Ospreay has said he's full time. The travel isn't as bad as it was going to Japan. He's talked about that. So if he is able to be there at least on one of the two major shows per week, he was on Collision last night, but if he can be part of Dynamite almost every week, I just think there's something special there that hasn't been defined down. He is a commodity who you instantly, when you see him, if you're a casual fan or a WWE fan, you go, I'm interested in this guy and I want to see more of him. And as good as Swerve is, I think Ospreay has a higher ceiling over the next 2 years and over the next 9 months, the rest of, to really be a difference maker for AEW. So you kind of at some point have to pick who your starter is going to be if you're a NFL team with 2 or 3 good quarterbacks. And in AEW's case, maybe Tony just wants to get it on Ospreay as quick as possible and get to some storytelling.
And it does make Will Ospreay's win for the title at the last pay-per-view all the more curious because, he beats Roderick Strong, wins the title. Why would you have him win the secondary title when you're going to put him into the main title match at the next pay-per-view, unless that's
Yep.
a storyline piece of it where somehow both titles are on the line or something like that. Winning the title, I think a lot of people already disagreed with that decision, having him win a lesser title first.
Yep. Yep.
But I think if you were going to wait to do Osprey versus Swerve it all in, you could kind of make the argument, okay, give him a title, let him defend it for a few months. Maybe he loses it in kind of funky fashion, and then his redemption is the title win it all in, the AEW championship. But to have him win and then a week or two later have him win an opportunity to get to the AEW title makes him winning that secondary title. I don't get that even more now.
I'm all for unpredictable happenings in pro wrestling, but everything you just said adds to my confusion over multiple decisions being made. And again, I just say I hope that by the time we get to early September, we look back and go, this all made sense. Like there were things we didn't see coming, which is fine with me. I mean, I love if something
Mhm.
happens and we don't see it coming, we don't call it ahead of time, and everybody lands in a good spot. But even if Osprey faces a Swerve at Forbidden Door, and let's say the Don Callis family costs Osprey the chance to win it, does he then have to win the Owen Cup and then earn another title
Yeah.
shot? And is Swerve still champion by then? And is that really a better path to take? He already went through the Don Callis family, so I'm not particularly like who would be that Don Callis person. It's not going to be Trent. It's not going. I mean, Takeshita's already been defined down. Hobbs is out injured, so I don't even know that storyline. So I'm eager to see what Tony has in mind, but like you said, this having him win the international title, if this was a plan all along, it's a curious decision that I hope makes sense by the time we get there. Maybe he's going to merge the two titles, but
I was
even
just gonna
that seems
say if
rare.
they end up merging, it might be a net victory anyway.
I know it would be obviously fewer titles is better. I just don't know that that's the right way to go about it either.
Sure.
Because they haven't announced that's the case, and that should be a big
Mhm.
deal when that happens. And so, yeah, I don't think that is. All right. Well, we went over 12 minutes on our first two takes, certainly the last one. We are at 12 minutes right now, Greg. We're getting better at this. I think we hit some of the key points that I think you and I both wanted to cover. We absolutely welcome our viewers to leave their comments in the comment area. Let us know what we're not thinking of. If there's something, well, hopefully we thought of everything, but if there is something we didn't think of, point that out. We'll be monitoring the comments area and we'll respond to it. Maybe you'll prompt us to update our commentary in a future video or podcast. And also subscribe to our channel, please. Like this video, spread the word, let people know that we're out here on YouTube through whatever channels you have communicating with other wrestling fans. Greg Parks, you're about to shift gear in the next few minutes and go live with Wrestling Night in America live on YouTube. Don't give away too much what we talked about, but I'm curious for Brandon's take. Is
Mhm.
Brandon with you tonight, or are you going
Uh,
solo?
Nate Lindbergh with me
Oh,
tonight.
I knew that. Yep, Nate's this time. So we'll get Nate's take on this topic too. And you guys are also talking about over on the live feed on demand. What's the other main topic on Wrestling Night tonight?
We're talking NXT Battleground. Nate covers NXT for PWTorch.com, so he's my expert that I call upon whenever I want to preview a big NXT show.
Excellent. All right, thanks, Greg. We'll talk to you soon.
Great. Thank you, Wade.